Lots going on in the NBA Finals to talk about with John Barry here on the Rich Eisen Show from the worldwide leader in sports. How are you, John?
What do you say, Richie?
Well, I'm good, man. I'm good. Where have I found you? Where are you these days? Are you in Arizona right now, John Barry? Is that where I found you?
Yes, I called the game on site, Rich.
Of course you do,
Game
John.
one.
Well, I just want to know if you're already there. You're already there. You're already ready to roll.
I'm there.
What was it like in that building that night?
Man, it was nuts.
Lit, right?
I mean, these people, obviously, it's been 10 years since a playoff run, and 93 was the last finals appearance. And, people frothing at the mouth here in Phoenix, and obviously very happy after game one.
Good, for good reason. What works for the Suns? I guess what is working, what works for them to put them on the verge of a championship run being completed, in your estimation?
Chris Paul's working.
Yep.
He game 6 against the Clippers, I think that was probably the second half was maybe his best half of basketball in 17 years.
Damn.
And then, look, they ran high pick and roll with him and Devin Booker just ad nauseum the other night, and Milwaukee simply had zero answer. Chris had 0 points after the first quarter. He only took 2 shots, and then he comes up with 32 points in the last 3 quarters, barely missed a shot, and he was fantastic.
And but what's different about him this year? You know, I mean, you can't even say he's healthy, too, right? I mean, he just seems that usually the roadblocks that crop up, he's bursting straight through them, and like he's rolling over these speed bumps like they don't exist. He's in some form of a zone right now that we're going to be talking about him differently for the rest of his life, I think, John.
Yeah, it was like, and you go back to the L.A. series, he hurts his shoulder, and I don't remember what game that was. It might have been game 1. And you're like, well, here we go again.
Exactly.
Remember he blew out the hamstring when he was with Houston when they were on the verge of beating the Warriors in the conference final.
Mm-hmm.
He's had so many close calls that the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead years ago when he was there. And it was like, I guess if you can run out of bad luck. His bad luck has run its course. Now he's got the best of luck. And you know what? It just honestly does feel like it's his time.
It sure does.
It just does. And I mean, can you think of another guy that's more deserving to get this done? I mean,
well, he
all
is
NBAs, all defensive, just incredible player year after year, and just heartaches in the playoffs. And now, how would you think it would happen here in Phoenix, though? This Phoenix team won 19 games 2 years ago. And here they are, 3 games away from an NBA final. It's incredible.
It is, man. And, obviously him going from, Houston to Oklahoma City, it was just like, well, okay, we got to shed his salary. Like Chris Paul went from a salary shredding acquisition to missing piece GOAT,
Mm-hmm.
and it's unreal how that's changed in about a 2-year span. From his spat with Harden, where, in certain parts he was being painted, John, as being a guy you couldn't get along with. He's a red ass. He's just a guy that couldn't, get along with even Harden, right? And
right.
Maybe we're just been misreading a lot of the situation.
Yeah, maybe he's not the problem. He got a lot of the he got the brunt of it in L.A. with the Clippers. Apparently, he wasn't the problem. And when he went to Oklahoma City, I'm like, okay, nice career, Chris. See you in the funnies, right? I mean, if he stays there, it's over, right? OKC's not going to do anything. And he brings that team to some prominence even that year he was there. It's great for him. It really is. And, look, I'm not into this solidifying your legacy stuff. He has to win a championship to be considered one of the greats. I'm not buying that. I think John Stockton's pretty good. He didn't win a title.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris Paul is a top 5 point guard that's ever played the game.
John Barry here on the Rich Eisen Show. Well, I had Van Gundy on yesterday, which makes you the second NBA Finals calling analyst on ESPN to make me start this way and then have to pause and understand that the concept of inevitability that I've just had talking about Chris Paul requires 3 more wins and a Bucks team to comply with that. What do you think Coach Bud Budenholzer is trying to uncork in Game 2? What can be uncorked in Game 2 to even this thing up and move back?
Well,
I
think what was worked the most in Game 1 was when they went small. They put Giannis at the 5, and Middleton, and Forbes, and Holiday, and Connaughton. So they went extremely small, and basically all that is to do. What they're trying to do is be able to just switch that high pick and roll. And when you switch Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis onto Chris Paul, his eyes were Frisbees because he was so excited to see a one-on-one matchup with those two guys, and we saw what happened. So they can't afford to do that. And look, bottom line is in the playoffs, you got to take away the number one option of a player. Whatever he does best, you want to make him have to go to option B. Chris Paul is one of the best mid-range shooters the game has ever seen. So if you're switching screen and roll, he's going to get to that spot whenever he wants, if it's Bobby Portis or Brook Lopez guarding him. And that's exactly what he did. So they went small. They were down 20. They cut it to 7 when they went to that small lineup. So I would expect that we see that small lineup quicker in this ball game. And hopefully Giannis is a little more healthy. I think it was more rhythm and timing and fatigue in Game 1. Mm-hmm. He said the knee didn't bother him. We talked to him yesterday. So I think he's going to continue to get better as the series moves on. And if he's almost 100%, Milwaukee gives himself a chance. If he's not, I think the Phoenix Suns are going to do this in 5.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I mean, you also just kind of unfurled the ultimate problem here is that Chris Paul is playing at such a top level of his game that he's creating matchup problems for the defense, and the people that he can dish it to are Devin Booker and Ayton, who are playing their problems on their own selves. They are A-list players. Certainly, Ayton becoming one, and Booker is one of the best players in the NBA. I think he's turned into, and that's the ultimate problem. That's a heck of a super team. I'll say it. When you want to put Paul together with Booker and Ayton, we might be looking back at some point, depending on how long the run might go, and say that's a three-headed monster that's as good as any in the NBA. Is that too much to say, John, or what? What do you think about that one?
No, I'm with you, and it's put together differently. Right? This is not free agents, guys getting on banana boats and deciding to play together. I know. I mean, they drafted Booker, they drafted Ayton. Obviously, you bring Chris Paul in, but this is a heck of a Phoenix Suns team that you wish Chris Paul was 26 instead of 36,
right?
Because they'd be around for a long, long time. Now, I don't know how long Chris Paul can play at this level. He's got one more year on his deal that apparently he's going to tear up and try to get 3 years into it to get another $100 million, because I'm sure he's having a hard time finding food to eat at making just $44 million.
State Farm commercials don't make themselves, John. You know what I mean? They just don't make themselves, State Farm commercials, You gotta.
Well, no, I mean, it's James Jones, and they've done a heck of a job.
Sure
Ronnie
have.
Williams is really the guy that's made, created this culture. And they're really good. And I hear people talk about them being a fraud being here. Like, not really. Not in my opinion. This is a heck of a team.
Well, John Barry here on the Rich Eisen Show, calling the NBA Finals for ESPN Radio, Game 2 tonight. And so, look, I kind of hit that asterisk conversation about the Suns with my colleague here on NBC Sports on Peacock, Michael Smith with Brother from Another last week, about the Suns maybe having an asterisk to them because they beat a Clippers team without Kawhi, and LeBron wasn't LeBron, right? And Anthony Davis wasn't healthy, and all of that.
And Jamal Murray was out for Denver.
Correct. And then, the Nets were not the team that they're facing because they didn't have their team intact. But you still have to beat who's right there in front of you. It's still a crucible. It's still a run that you have to make. Certainly, in the era of COVID, and when that's not easy enough at all. I know that things have, knock on wood, changed slightly for the better in this country. But I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. You have to do what you do here.
where you stand? Do you think there's an asterisk on this?
I do not.
This team's not legit?
No, I didn't think there was an asterisk on the Lakers win. I didn't think there was an asterisk on the Dodgers win. I don't think there was an asterisk on Tampa Bay's win because, they were playing in stadiums on the road with no fans. You know what I mean? Like, these are the circumstances. Right. And you still have to win them. We're not
correct.
You can't just, ad hoc assume the wins were going to happen anyway. You can't do that.
Right.
So,
well, look, we can talk about it right now that you think it's not, if you don't think it's real, but in 20 years, you're going to look back and say, in 2021, they were the champion, and that's the bottom line. So what? But look, I want to go to bat for Phoenix. If anybody thinks they're a fraud out there, they had the second best record in the NBA. They had the best record versus 500 teams or better. They had the best road record in the NBA. They had the best record in one-possession games. And they closed out 3 series in this playoffs on the road. So tell me that's fraudulent, and I don't know what fraudulent means.
John Barry here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you think is going through Damian Lillard's mind right now? What do you think?
I don't know. Is it who's putting it out there that he's getting traded? I don't think it's the Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be absolutely foolish. This guy, he's one of the best players in the NBA. If he didn't play in Portland, he would be one of the bigger names in the NBA, no question. And for them to think about getting rid of him, I think they'd be crazy. He's been as loyal as a guy as there is in the NBA. He's stuck around Portland, and they would be absolutely foolish to let him go.
I think where a lot of people are basing it off of his, like we do a lot these days, because this is the manner in which players communicate is through a Twitter account or an Instagram account. Was his tweet after getting bounced in the playoffs where he's like, how long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation? He's quoting Nipsey Hussle. And, and a lot of people are thinking, maybe the only analogy I could kind of equate it to in a way is another superstar in the Pacific Northwest and Russell Wilson, although Russell has won where he's been a championship, but where he's associated with this place and fans adore him and can't think of doing it without him, but he's got to sit there and think, maybe things have to happen for me to actually use this window of opportunity for me to win. And and maybe Lillard seeing what's going on with Chris Paul or Devin Booker, right? Other people who are in the right situations that happen for them, all of a sudden going from 19 wins to maybe winning it all, and he's got to be sitting there thinking, how the hell? Yeah. Why can't that happen for me? Like maybe that's what I'm saying.
I think that just could be a jab to the organization. Like let's do something different. Let's change our path. And we're not good enough is basically what he's saying, and we've got to do something different than what we've done in the past to make us a championship contender. And look, C.J. McCollum is an unbelievable player, but I'm trading him. It's a small backcourt. They haven't won. You can get a lot for C.J. McCollum, and this is absolutely no slight on him, but I would move him to get some other pieces and try a new way of going about it. Trying to win.
And so, I'll play fantasy basketball GM. Do you think there's any there with Ben Simmons right there? I mean, because I think for sure he can't. He's kind of not kind of. I can't see how he stays in Philadelphia after what happened in the playoffs.
Yeah, he might need to change his scenery. He's a real enigma, obviously. I've done games where he's been the best player on the floor and dominated games.
How about that?
And I don't know. I mean, Portland's a great offensive team, so could you afford to take him on where you're not going to get much offense? This guy's an unbelievable defender. He can do some great things, and that's where Portland needs to get better defensively. So maybe that makes sense. I'm not sure where Ben Simmons fits. Is anybody? I just don't know.
I mean, he's got to fit somewhere, right? I mean,
he's an all-star. I mean,
right.
He's been really good, and he is really good. But I think he needs to change. He's got to become some sort of offensive threat. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
I mean, this offseason is going to be something else, man. All right. Well, have a great game too, John. I love chatting with you. It's good to
You got it, bud.
run into you the other day. Let's tee it up. Let's do it. You and I. How about you and I versus Bryson and Aaron Rodgers? What do you think about that one? Match 5.
I am in.
No, I don't.
I'll even let you. I'll let you use my driver.
Now that's in reference to you and I playing. Well, geez, this had to be like
1993 or 4.
No. I got to ESPN in '96. It was later than that.
Okay.
It was probably to be late '90s, John, or early aughts at a Fax and Andrade. It was in a Brad Faxon, Billy Andrade charity tournament there in beautiful Rhode Island, and I was hitting your driver, and it was great. And you said you'd send me one, and I'm still literally looking in the mail. It's 2021. It's amazing.
All right. I'm going to call my TaylorMade rep, Jeff Parsons.
No, it's okay. We're a Callaway show. It's all right. You're off the hook, man. You're off the hook. You're off the hook.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Epic's a good club.
Wow. Good to chat, bud. Have a great finals game tonight. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, bud. Good to catch up.
Right back at you. That's John Barry. Everybody. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.